Hi everyone, this is Laura from Grain & Company, and today I'm here with August Creative Maker Box. We're going to get started with the sunflower market sign, and then I'll do a second video on the sunflower gnomes. So we'll get started on this one. So you'll need your round back shiplap one, and then you'll need your larger front, and then your extra piece here for the inside of your sunflower. So what we'll need to do is we're going to start painting the background first, because we'll need to do a few coats on that. So you'll need to grab your white, and you can grab whichever brush you like to paint your background in your pack of brushes that we've given you. I like to use my little short 1-inch brush, so that's what I'm going to use. And I forgot to bring a container, so I'm just going to pour my paint on my tray. And so what we'll need to do is we're going to paint in the direction of the grain. So that's side to side with the lines in the wood, and I've tried to make sure I turned you around so that they're going in that same direction. So I'm going to grab a baby wipe, because most likely I will need that to do a little bit of cleanup on the edge. So let's make sure I got you in the camera well enough. There we go. So I'm going to take some paint on my brush, and I'm just going to start upside down first. And actually you might need an X-Acto knife or a toothpick or a skewer or something to help clean out these lines as well as we're painting this. So I'm going to grab some paint. I'm going to start in the middle here and kind of work it to the edge here first. And then I'm going to come back and gently push that side to side. And then take my brush and fully go across the board, so that way it eliminates the brush strokes. And I might have to go and turn the light on. I'm in my new home, so it's trying to find the right lighting to do these videos, so I'm not quite sure what this one will be like. But I'm just gonna finish this background really quick, and then I'm gonna go check the lights. So I like to push it to one side and the other just to get it there, and then I will go back and forth and complete that so it gets rid of those brush strokes. Now, as I get closer to these holes, I'm just going to be careful, try not to push too much into them. Somewhere to hold this. So, okay, so I'm going to quickly wipe the sides. Now, while the paint going to the edge doesn't have to be perfect, because we will overlap it with the border on the front part. So if you do, when you're wiping this, if you do get a little bit of brown staining from the charring around the edge here, oh, mine's not too bad, but you do see a little bit, you're going to hide that anyway. So now I'm just going to pause a second. There, that might be a little better. It's really all the lights I've got. So now I'm going to take my knife and I'm going to clean these out. You can use your baby wipe. I'm just wiping mine on my apron just to clean off my knife. Okay. And so, depending how even you make your coats, this could take you 2 or 3 times to get your background nice and white. My coats weren't overly heavy, so even, it's a little warm in here today. This is drying fairly quickly, but not quite ready to do a second coat. So I'm going to set it off to the side and put my brush in a bag here. All right, so second of all, then we will move on to this. and I actually have to pause because I'm drawing a blank as to what this looks like. So give me just a sec. Okay, so this piece here, which will separate into two pieces, will be stained. And then I'm gonna take the tape off. I've already taped my back, so what you're gonna wanna do is you wanna tape those letters in. The sunflower market and the two circles will be done in a brown tone called oakum. So it's not quite as reddish brown as the chocolate color that Fusion carries. I like oakum because it's got a bit of a gray brown base and it looks really nice with the butternut that we are using. So the colors for fall kind of or colors for the sunflower collection kind of run right into the fall colors, which makes it nice if you're trying to coordinate colors. Okay, so we'll take off this piece and I'll pull out this one, and I'm just gonna get the staining out of the way so that way I can throw my gloves away. Or not throw them away, but put them off to the side. So you'll need your gloves. I can already tell the lighting is not the best in here, guys. And I apologize because my lights are at the store. But we will just make do. Okay, so gloves, paper towel, and some stain. Now, while I don't need a whole lot of stain, I tend to cheat when I don't need a whole lot. So I'm just gonna take my bottle and squeeze a little bit on my brush and then just tip it over and apply it. And then I'm gonna wipe it right off. There we go. And there's more than enough in my brush still to do this. And really, we could send you a mini pot of stain, but it's not the best container to put that in, so you'll get definitely more than you need. So those can go off to the side, let them dry, and then you can use your paper towel for your blotting. So just kind of fold it up and use that again. And then we can move on to the yellow. I think we'll work on the yellow. So we'll take this piece and this piece and grab your container. You'll have a, I'm testing this out, but it should be, you should only need the 1/2 ounce. And let's put this here. So if you don't like using it in the container, you can always just pour it out and use what you need, because it really does go a long way. So, and then grab your sponge. Just gonna put the lid on. Grab your sponge and then give it a dip, and then blot that extra stuff off there. And then just go around your frame. Now, I'm not worried about wiping the frame off after, because it'll just have a slight dusting of color. So don't put too much on your sponge so that its big gobs are coming off the sides. But if you just do a nice even coat a couple times, then you should be good. And you can always dip in here to see if you have any extras, so that way you're not wasting any of your paint. Because in that container you'll need that as well for the sunflower gnomes. So, but you only need it for the sunflowers, so you won't need a crazy amount. Okay, so that's the first coat there. Just by the lighting, I'll probably just stop it here after we get the yellow and the white probably done. But okay, so these ones we're just going along. Now you don't want to go too hard on your application, because you want to still be able to see those lines from the sunflower, so don't push too heavy or load your sponge too much. Now you don't have to go all the way inside because this will, and the center will cover that, so you can avoid doing that area as well. Okay, so that's just, you just want to make sure you get a good overlap on that circle, so that way you won't miss anything when you put that on. Okay, so that is done its first coat. So now I'm going to grab this again. I'm going to set these aside. And you know what? It's way too dark in here, guys. I think I'm going to have to stop because I don't like what it looks like. So I'm just gonna stop the video and take a look at it, and then I'll come back if I feel like it's good to go. Okay, I think it looks fine. It's hard to tell. My phone is being silly, but I'm thinking it's fine. So we'll at least get through the white and the yellow, and then I'll finish the video tomorrow. Okay, so this is dry. I'm gonna take my sandpaper and give this a sand with the grain. And we're smoothing out that texture. And then you can just wipe away any of the extra dust. So I'm just taking my cloth here, but making sure I don't have any wet paint exposed. And then we'll put that off to the side. So I'm going to do the full process again of painting this, but I'm just gonna speed it up when you see the video, so that way you don't have to watch it in real time. So I'll be back in just a moment. Went all the way around, and then I'm going to take my knife again and clean out those lines. And make sure when you sand that you're getting rid of the dust that's in those lines, just because the paint will want to hold on to that. So you can always just take a dry brush and just dust them out, or a blower of some sort, or whatever. So, okay, so that's coat number 2, and you can start to tell it gets a little bit more white, and it's becoming a bit more solid depending on how even you're applying it. So for me, it's gonna take 3, but I haven't used a whole lot of paint. So we'll leave that now, and then we will continue on with this. So once again, just give this a sand, and I'm just going around. Sorry for shaking the table. Okay, that's that one. And then the same with this. Okay, so I'm just gonna repeat this process again, just like before, and I will speed up the video when you guys watch it. So I'm going to set that one there, and I'm going to check on my white again. I think it's too early, but yeah, it needs a couple more minutes. So let me check my lighting. Yeah, we might be okay. So I'm just going to grab a little tiny sponge here. Normally I would just wait till my yellow's done and then cut this one apart, but let's see. Actually, you know what? This one's already dry, so I'm gonna do it again, and I'm not gonna sand it because there's really no texture at the moment, so. So that is fine. Okay, the yellow is done. So I can cut this apart. And then we can do the oakum. set that there. Okay, so grab this one and make sure everything's tape secure here. Another piece here. Okay, so just like we did with the yellow, we're gonna do with the brown. And so just load up your sponge here and then just start going all the way around. So light coats. Brown is another clear base color, so it could take 3 to get an even coverage. So just, you know, watch still how you're overlapping, and just light layers because you don't want it to be pushed down the sides of the letters and then your letters get stuck in the template. So just very light. You're just tapping that surface. You're not squishing it down. And I have no paint, wet paint on there, so just blotting. A little bit more. There we go. Okay, so that won't take very long to dry. Just gonna use up what's in my sponge. There we go. And I'm just gonna put that up to the side, and I most likely can do my white again. So I'm gonna bring it back. Yeah, we're good. And we're gonna give it a sand. So if you're sanding and when you clean these out, if you're getting really high ridges, it means you're putting on too much paint, and when you go to clean these out, you're creating like a divide. So you want to make sure that you're not too heavy there. And then I think this one is too. No, I might be able to still use it. And then just wipe those out. Make sure those lines are clean. So even if after you sand, if you want to take this back, use that to clean it out, or a brush. I just don't have a brush here. Okay, so now we're going to do this again. And I'm going to speed it up one more time. So 3 coats, for me that is good. We're gonna let that dry. And we can bring this back since our yellow is done. Do this one again. Oops, I put my yellow there. So we're gonna give this a light sand at first. And same too, if you get too much dust in those crevices, and the paint likes to hold on to that. So just watch, give it a light blow or wipe it off, either way. Oops. And we will continue on again. So I'll speed it up, and then I'll be right back. So for the most part, these should be fine. No, I still see a few light patches here and there. So yeah, for me, like that's very light coat. I probably will do one more. So I'm just gonna leave that. Now I'm gonna come back and I'm going to do one more thing. What was I doing? Okay, so I'll grab a sponge. Where's a sponge? I'm just gonna give this a light sand. And I wanna kind of give it a little bit of depth, but I don't want to come back with another yellow. I'm going to play with the yellow. I just want one yellow. So, so I want to do a little bit of shading. So I'm just going to take like just a little bit of stain and pour it on my napkin here. And then I'm going to take, if I had a bigger one, I'd use a bigger one, but I'm just going to dampen my sponge with some stain. And I'm just gonna gently shadow or shade those edges. So if you do it and you don't like it, well, then you can just paint over it again. But you're just doing very light, like not even, like it really should just blend in. Like you shouldn't see any definite lines. It really should just look like it's dirty on the edge. Almost like if you were wiping it, the paint off and the char leaves a discoloration, pretty much like that. So that's what it should look like. So just take very little. You can use however big of a sponge piece you want, but you don't want to press too hard, and you're just kind of pulling. So here's my sponge. I'm just kind of pulling on an angle around the edge. And you can do this with, you know, brown paint or whatever, but the stain is fairly light and it does what I need it to. So there we go. You just don't want any like solid line, so it should kind of look, you know, dirty kind of thing. So that's what I've done. I'm just gonna try and, so I don't know if you can see it better now with the this on there. You can kind of see that it's deepened it a little bit, and it might stick out more once we get it on the white. So we're just gonna let that, I mean, it's dry, it really is. So we're just gonna leave that. Let's come back to here. I'm not gonna, this is dry for me, but I'm not gonna sand it because I don't want to lose any of that brown tone. I just want to leave it, and we'll sand it tomorrow or later when I go to put it together. So I'm just going to go ahead and do my third coat really quick, and then I will come back here in a second and I'll explain how I'm leaving my stuff to do for the next day. So be back in a sec. So this is done for me. I know 3 coats should be enough. So, but if you see the odd, you know, lighter bit in your, on your design, then you can just go back and do another one, but it's fine for me at 3. So I'm just gonna give it a few minutes to dry, and then because I'm leaving it till tomorrow to put it together, just because of the light, I'm going to take the tape off the back and let the pieces fall out of the template, so that way they're not going to get stuck in there while it's drying in case you happen to get paint down the side. So do that. Don't throw anything away because we'll need this to put it together. But just let them sit out wherever you were painting and let them sit separately from their template. Okay, and then I will be back tomorrow. We'll do finish this up, and then we'll probably get started on the sunflower gnomes. All right, we'll see you guys tomorrow. Thanks, bye. Okay guys, I'm back to do the assembly of our sunflower market sign. So when I left off, I pulled my pieces out of my template so they could dry there overnight. So I'm just going to set them to the side. Now I haven't sanded my board, so I'm just going to quickly do that. Okay, and then just gonna blow any dust away. And then I had a knife, so let me find it. And I'm just gonna run it through here and just clean out any dust that might have settled or paint when I sanded. There we go. Okay, so that's nice and smooth, so I'm going to set that off to the side, and then I'm going to come in here and just give this a quick sand. As well as this. And this. All right, so we're going to begin by, I'm going to assemble this first. So I'm just going to peel off this. And go all the way around. And then you're just going to want to line up those curve marks with the curve marks of this piece. So I'm going to just I'm going to line mine up so the grain of my piece, which the lines are going this way, are lined up with the grain of the sunflower. It just looks better to me instead of having grain go one way and the sunflower goes the other. Okay, so that looks good there. I just want to make sure that one's good. I want my dots up at the top, so I just want to make sure that when this fits in here, it's facing the right direction. So, and yeah, you know what? I'm going to stop 2 seconds, and I'll tell you why, because I totally forgot. So I am using a white paint pen. You can do the same. You can leave it as is. You can take a very fine tipped brush, but I want to do little white lines on my sunflower just to accent the detail. So you can choose to do whatever, but I'm just going to take my white paint pen and I'm just going to kind of random come in here and throw in some lines. Nothing's particular, I'm just random. Kind of with the movement of the flower, but okay, so that's all I did there. Now I need to make sure I've lined this up properly again. So I'm gonna put it back in here. Whoops. It should technically go with the same grain that we've been cutting because that's how it would have come out. So that's, put it back in there like it was lined up before, and then come back in here and do this now. If your paint pen or your pen is wet, just maybe hold off on that just a little bit longer till they have had a chance to dry. Okay, there's that one, and then I'm going to set this one in like that, and then I'm going to give it a press. Okay, so there's my sunflower. Okay, so I'm going to grab my round here, and I'm going to grab this. We are going to put that on first, but I'm also going to use the inside here, because if you tend to, you know, push this frame in a little bit, then this piece won't fit in properly. So I'm just trying to find my lines because I want them to go side to side, and it's kind of hard, so do your best. So I'm going to line this up here. Now trying to remember one thing here, because you want to make sure that you're not taking your letters and blocking off those holes. So take these circles here and kind of make sure those lines are lining up at the same height. Like, you don't want to turn like this, so one's got a line through there. So you want to make sure they're kind of even. So then that way you'll know that you've got this centered. Because yeah, they're okay. So I'm just gonna pull this off at the moment, and I'm gonna peel this back. Bear with me, guys, and I'll fast forward it so you don't have to watch me dig for this end. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to find my lines once again and do my best to go with the grain. Okay, I'm just going to gently set it on top. I'm not pushing it into place right now because I want to make sure that it's evenly spaced all the way around, and you don't want to pinch it. Just want to make sure that it's even all the way around. Okay, so in doing that, I may have shifted this, so I just want to make sure that these are lining up the same. I'm thinking that's pretty good. Okay, so once that's good, I'm going to just take one of my circles here, and I'm going to set it in place. You can also gently push this down. So I'm just going to put 2 circles in here. I'm going to put one on each side so that way it doesn't have a chance to shift. And then before you press those into place, make sure this hasn't moved. That looks pretty good. And then just press that all into place. Okay, so now we can just continue peeling our pieces, the adhesive off the back and pushing it into place. So I'm just gonna do that, and I'm gonna speed it up really fast. You don't have to sit here and watch me do that. Okay, so that's done. So you can take this and pop this off. There we go. So one other thing I still haven't done yet is you can take your white paint pen if you wish, and you can go around and add some highlight lines on here. Pen's being silly, so I might not be able to. Oh, let's try it again. There we go. That one went a little weird. Sometimes when you do the birch stuff, like the wood that we use, that sometimes it'll catch on one of the grains of wood and kind of divert your pen. So now I didn't color these in. I did this before I did the gnomes, and then I colored the ones in on the gnomes. So you can choose to leave them. I will color these ones in so you can see the difference between the original photo that we used in the email and these ones that are in the video. And you can see which way you like it. If you don't have paint pens, you can take an embossing tool, and depending on the size of them, I've got some new ones coming in. They're all different sizes. So once I get those in, I'll show you what I mean and how you can create your dots with those without having to use a paint pen. And we're trying to get stuff like that in here for you guys. So anyway, so that's what you can do there. You can even add a little highlights on these if you want. I didn't do that on the initial one either, so nothing fancy. I'm not just curving with the outline of the flower, just like that. This one keeps disappearing, so there we go. Anyway, so that's this one, and that's it. So actually I've got the string, so let me find that. Now, depending on if you're hanging this on the stand or not, I've got an 18th inch string here. So hanging it on the stand, it will be a bit longer than you need. So you'll have to cut it off, but I will just show you. So when you're tying it, if you want both string ends pointing to the back, I'll kind of just go over that with you. So I come in from the back and have a little end here and just tie it like normal, both going over the string. And this is on the one on the, well, when I'm facing it the left hand side. When you come and do the other string, you can do the same thing. You're going to come from the back through that hole. I'm just going to kind of stand it up here and then go and tie it that way. But if you do it again, then it'll want to shoot to the front. So you got to make sure when you're doing it that you're going under the string this time to the back and then through, because that way when you pull it, it will shoot out the back instead of the front. So depending however long you need it, and then you can figure out that, and then you can cut your string ends to whatever length you need them to be. So so yeah, that one is done. Tomorrow or the next video I will work on the gnomes and go through those with you, and then we'll be done for August. All right, so we'll see you guys back on the next video. Okay, thanks.